The North Carolina Tar Heel field hockey team has won 5 straight ACC tournament titles. A win today locks up the #1 seed in the upcoming tournament as the Tar Heels get set for a tough Virginia Cavaliers squad. Take a look at the ACC standings currently. North Carolina atop with that perfect 4-0 record. 2 conference games left for them. A win in either locks up that #1 overall seed. For Virginia, currently at 3-2. They have an outside shot at the 1 seed, but it starts with a win here this afternoon against the Tar Heels. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us here on ACC Network Extra alongside Matt Krause. I'm Kyle Straub. Matt, North Carolina comes in not just looking to lock up that #1 tournament seed, but also stay undefeated. A little bit more pressure for this Tar Heel team.
Yeah, but Kyle, it's not pressure that the Tar Heels haven't experienced before. After all, a perfect season this year, if they're able to complete it, would be their 3rd in the last 5 seasons. And this year's edition of the Tar Heels, every time they face a test, it seems like they pass it with flying colors. The latest, a dominant 6-1 win against a good Syracuse team just a week ago.
Well, she led the Tar Heels during those 2 undefeated seasons you mentioned. She's leading them again this year. Heck, she leads the entire ACC all-time, Erin Matson.
And it's so fitting that she broke this ACC points record on an assist. The past, the present, the future of Carolina field hockey as she found standout freshman Riley Heck for the goal and then added one of her own just for good measure in the second half. What a special moment after the game, honored with their head coach, Karen Shelton.
If Virginia is going to hand the Tar Heels their first loss of the season, it starts in the cage with defense.
Yet Trimborn, just a freshman. She didn't begin the season as Virginia's starter, but took over midway through their ACC opener. She's been very, very strong, a 2-time ACC Defensive Player of the Week.
A late season top 10 matchup with playoff implications when we come back here in Chapel Hill. Last year, these two met a couple of times. First time this season that they will meet here in Chapel Hill. #1 overall seed in the ACC tournament on the line. Kyle Straub alongside Matt Krause. Appreciate you joining us for this evening's game. Beautiful fall afternoon, now turning into evening here in Chapel Hill. Temperatures in the mid-60s. As Carolina looks to stay perfect here on the season. 12-0 so far this year, Matt, and they have done it primarily with the offense.
It's the #1 scoring offense in the country, Kyle. Over 4 goals per game, nearly 4.5 after their 6-goal explosion against Syracuse last time out.
Virginia here with the first shot of the game. Laura Jansen, who leads the team with 8 goals on the season, just a little bit wide, but a nice start there for Virginia to put a little pressure on Carolina's defense, which is not used to seeing a lot of shots.
Yeah, you and I called that game last week against Syracuse, and it was such a dominant performance from North Carolina, but Virginia showing aggression early on here today.
Boderman able to get in the way of that pass attempt from Carolina, and it is going to directly result in a penalty corner here for Virginia. So they get the first shot, which is a good look, and now they're going to be able to get themselves set up again.
Just over a minute into this game, and Virginia's penalty corner attack unit gets ready to go to work. Kyle, their last game against Liberty, they held an 11-1 advantage in corners, so Abigail Taylor, you saw just a moment ago, in cage for the Tar Heels, about to be tested.
This Virginia offense not quite as potent as North Carolina's, but 31 goals on the season in 14 games played. They can find a way to put up multiple goals in a game.
And like we just said, very strong in the APC.
Megan Hengerer, the junior, out of New Jersey, plays it in. Top of the circle, shot kicked aside by the Tar Heel keeper. Still in the circle, second shot goes wide. And Virginia, with a couple of opportunities knocking on the door, can't quite make the goal. Nakabuchi with the second attempt there for the Cavaliers.
What a save by Abigail Taylor. A year ago, these two teams met in the ACC championship game. North Carolina won it 1-0. But Abigail Taylor made a huge save early in that game. And Karen Shelton said after the fact that that save completely dictated the way that that game played out. It could have been a game where Carolina would be playing from behind, but Taylor standing tall in cage early against the Cavaliers yet again.
Taylor, just a sophomore out of Cary, but had a lot of experience, like you said, Matt, from last year. She has split time this year with Kylie Wahlberg. 12 games played between each of them. They literally have flipped who starts each game, and today it was Taylor's turn. Just 6 goals given up all season long by her.
I mean, obviously, moving from a freshman season to a sophomore season, you expect improvement. And Karen Shelton's told us that the biggest area of improvement for Taylor this year has been her voice. Communication, so important between a goalkeeper and her back line. And Taylor has taken a massive step forward in that area, and credits Kylie Walbert for some of that success.
Overall on the year, Carolina, not just a really good offense with those 53 goals given up, but just 13 goals that they have allowed all season long. That is in those 12 games that they've played, so a little bit over a goal a game against them.
But yet 9 of the 12 games this season, Carolina has been in that shutout position into the final minute. Syracuse scored a goal in the waning seconds of last week's game to prevent a 9th shutout on the year, but still 8 clean sheets by Carolina. So the games that they've won that have been high scoring, when they've scored a bunch, they've conceded a bunch. 4-3 game against Boston College comes to mind. The Princeton game also 4-3.
You know, that was something that when you and I talked with Coach Shelton last week, she sort of emphasized, you know, a team that is undefeated, you don't expect the head coach to say we're a work in progress, but she really wanted to see an improvement in those late goals given up, especially when they have a lead. Long pass up through midfield, finds its mark. Here comes the first chance for the Tar Heels. That one will just skip wide off the stick of the freshman, Riley Heck.
Not a bad idea for Riley Heck, the reigning ACC Offensive Player of the Week off her hat trick against Syracuse. Didn't have any help here. In an ideal world, she'd have another player streaking toward that far post and have a numbers advantage once you had the keeper Trimborn off her line. So Heck, why not take a long shot, try and catch Trimborn playing in a little bit out of position, but ultimately, shot goes wide.
Tar Heels looking to build through the midfield. Shoulder into the attacking third. Here's the freshman, Ashley Sessa. Nice stick work from her. Shot going to be saved by the freshman, Trimborn. But a penalty corner coming here for Carolina.
Yeah, obstruction call on Virginia, but brilliant stick work by Ashley Sessa to find space to be able to shoot that ball. Took it into the circle herself.
Aaron Matson gets pretty much all of the attention offensively, but Ashley Sessa with 7 goals has been a real revelation offensively here as a freshman for the Tar Heels.
One of the top 10 recruits in the country along with Riley Heck. And it's important to point out that Erin Matson's in her 5th season, utilizing that extra year due to the pandemic. When this duo of Sessa and Heck was initially being recruited by North Carolina, keep in mind the plan was for them to come in and take over for Erin Matson, not play a year with her. So it's been a little bit of a bonus for Karen Shelton and
company. I don't think you're going to hear her complain about having them on the same roster very much. Sessa plays it to the top. Matson as a deke, has it on her stick. Misplayed there by Carolina, and you don't see that very often by the Tar Heels.
Yeah, I think that there was some confusion whether or not Matson was going to give it back to a teammate or take the shot herself. But an opportunity for learning for the Tar Heels early on as both these teams continue to feel each other out.
Turnover in the midfield. Here comes Carolina on the attack again. It is the freshman Sessa. North Carolina out shooting opponents 220-90 on the season.
And they've held the shot advantage in every game except one. Only that Boston College game. One of those narrow 4-3 wins. They were outshot this year.
And the circle for Matson. Touch got away from her. Carolina going to get a penalty corner out of it, though. Didn't look like Matson had much control over that one, but Virginia whistled. And you see Matson continuing to go to the head on that penalty corner. I think she collided with the defender. You see that the raspberry, maybe a little blood on the head of the freshman attacker.
Let's see what happened. Oh, yeah, that's head-to-head contact right there with the defender.
And with the gear on for the defender, you're not going to win that battle, as Matson will get attended to. And that's a big player to have off where you have a penalty corner coming up.
She receives the attention down below, and meanwhile, North Carolina will continue on without her.
Tar Heel fans learned she's tough last year when she took a ball off of a finger in the middle of a game. Ended up having to miss a couple of them after that, but stayed in that one, came back a little bit later to help Carolina to that 5th straight ACC title. Here's Sessa on the insert. Straightaway shot, Carolina finds the back of the cage. That was Bruning with the goal.
Second straight game, Sietske Bruning scores a goal off the penalty corner. Second straight game, she scores the first goal for Carolina. Really well executed corner, goes to the top of the circle. Nice inserts, good stick stop. Quickly pushed ahead, and Bruning, the freshman, a player that Karen Shelton calls quiet yet unsung, scoring her third of the year.
Makes it now 30 first half goals on the season for North Carolina. One of the ways you have an undefeated year to this point, Matt, outscore your opponents 30-5 before you go into the locker room.
Yeah, Carolina has only conceded the first goal of the game once, and that was the Iowa game way back in the first weekend of the year where they had to come from behind to win in overtime.
Third goal of the season for the freshman Bruning, as Carolina has the early 1-0 lead over Virginia.
And we've seen the penalty corner come into play in such an important role early on in this game. You think about it, Kyle, that shot where Abigail Taylor made the great save. If that goes in, all of a sudden it's 1-0 Virginia, and the Tar Heels are having to play from behind. Instead, Carolina makes the stop. They convert on the attack penalty corner, and they're playing from ahead yet again.
Matson back out there for the Tar Heels, sprung this attack. Carolina plays it back to the midfield and will switch to the near side. Nearly a takeaway there for Annie McDonough, the graduate transfer. Virginia team coming in, one of the hottest in the country, as they take that loose ball in the midfield. Mendez Trendler waiting for numbers, but Carolina taking it right back. Looking at the schedule coming into this, Matt, they suffered a loss last week to Wake Forest, 1-0. It was the first time they were shut out, but prior to that, they had won 6 straight on the season and now make it 7 of the last 8 coming off their win against 16th ranked Liberty.
Yeah, ranked number 7 in the country, and for good reason. You mentioned the schedule. It's ranked number 1 in the country in terms of strength of schedule. They had to go to Northwestern. They took on Penn State on the road. It's been a really difficult road for Michelle Madison's Cavaliers, and yet they've handled it with a lot of success. 10 wins already on the season. It's already surpassed their win total from a year ago.
Just 3 teams on the schedule for Virginia to this point that are not ranked: Temple, James Madison, and Miami.
And wouldn't you know that all of those teams at a time other than when they played Virginia have been in the top 25 at some point.
Carolina turns it over to Virginia. 1-0 Tar Heel lead if you're just joining us. Sietske Bruning, the freshman out of the Netherlands, with the goal for the Tar Heels off of their second penalty corner here in this first. Virginia had the go of it early in this one, first couple of minutes. Kept the ball down in the attacking third, had a couple of really good looks. A big-time save from Abigail Taylor that Matt had mentioned. Flipped it to Carolina being on the attack, and here they go again.
Right back inside the circle.
Peyton Worth, the senior out of Thompsontown, Pennsylvania down there. Worth with a couple of goals, 5 assists on the season for her. Cardo plays it near side. Nice touch pass from Sessa. Really crisp passing here from Karen Shelton's Tar Heels.
That's an area they pride themselves on, being able to be effective and efficient on the passes, both with pace and connectivity. And it makes the Carolina offense so dangerous, but Virginia will have it coming out here. And Kyle, to continue the conversation on the Cavaliers season, you know, you and I, calling the Syracuse game last week, talked about that when Syracuse hadn't had success this year, they were blown out. It seemed like it was either a win or a blowout loss. Virginia, all 4 of their defeats have come by a single goal. And that trend actually goes back even further. The last 16 losses Virginia has suffered have come by just 1 goal. It's been a long time since they've been blown out.
That is a trend that you know they want to buck. 16 straight goes well beyond just the team that you currently have and the players that you currently have on the roster.
And their last multi-goal loss was the first game of the spring portion of that split season in the COVID year 2 years ago. 2-0 loss to Duke, early March 2021.
There's the two ways of looking at that. There's the positive of, well, you're not getting blown out. You're right in all of these games. But the negative of, you've lost a lot of these really close games that usually if it's decided by one goal, it's just a play or two that really are the determining factors.
And that was on the minds of the players on this team after last year, where they made the NCAA tournament as a 500 team with a 1-goal loss to Carolina in the ACC tournament championship game and a 1-goal loss to Maryland in the NCAA first round. And so the focus in the offseason was just on the little things and putting in that extra effort. Adele Yakabuchi, the team captain, was the recipient of what the team called sweaty t-shirt photos from off-season workouts. If a player or a group of players were partaking in an off-season workout over the summer, they had to send the team captain a photo. So all sorts of probably fun content there on Adele Yakabuchi's phone.
Nice touch from Matson. Tries to get that pass down low, and it is going to be a penalty stroke for North Carolina. The freshman Trimborn chatting with the referee to no avail. Carolina with a huge opportunity, and wouldn't you know it, it's Aaron Matson that creates it.
Matson back in there with the big gash on her head. So let's see. A penalty stroke is denying an obvious opportunity on goal. And yeah, the call here is the hooking of Matson by Virginia's Jans Kroon. Yeah. And Kroon wanted a video referral, but it was not granted.
Matson will take the penalty stroke here for the Tar Heels. 17 goals on the year, make it 18, and a 2-0 Tar Heel lead.
Carolina now 4 for 4 on penalty strokes this season. Textbook by Aaron Matson.
It's got to be a helpless feeling for any goalkeeper having Aaron Matson that close to you, staring you down. You just got to guess and hope you go the right way.
18th of the season, and it ties her for 4th all-time in NCAA Division I history. Feels like every goal Aaron Matson scores nowadays breaks or ties some sort of record.
Either as good as she is and you've been around as long as she is, you start putting your name in the record books all over the place. Virginia desperately needs an answer after Carolina has a couple of goals here in this first quarter. It's going to go back to the Tar Heels.
Yeah, Virginia called for lifting there.
Sienna Ricardo, the junior on defense for the Tar Heels. Younger sister of Rome Ricardo. Here's Thomasay, the junior. One thing that has stood out in the few games I've done for Carolina this year is just how quick that attack can get upfield and put pressure on the defense and especially the keeper.
And you saw it in 2 passes get into the attack 25. Ultimately, Virginia will take possession back here. But Virginia got inside the circle in the offensive end. They committed the foul. And Carolina, as you said, Colin, just a matter of seconds, right back onto the offensive end. Watch it happen here.
McDonough looking for Jansen. Tar Heel will play it to the near side. Bruning with the first goal for Carolina. Matson with the second. A win for Carolina today means they are the #1 overall seed in the upcoming ACC tournament. Virginia with an outside shot at that #1 seed. They need to win today. They need to get some help with some teams losing along the way, but it's not out of the realm of possibilities yet.
Yeah, Virginia would need Wake Forest to take a couple of losses down the stretch. And perhaps the most improbable, they would need to come back today and then have North Carolina lose to Duke next Saturday.
Here's Matson. Back to the goal, took a blind shot, was pretty close, but it'll be Virginia possession with about a minute and a half to go. Listen, you win today, that Carolina-Duke game, you never know what's going to happen in that rivalry, and it is in Durham.
It's in Durham, it's Duke's senior day. They haven't won an ACC game in the last 2 years, but as cliche as it sounds, that is your classic throw the records out game. Duke will have nothing but pride to play for.
Opportunity here for Virginia as Orobono is sent off. She gets a card. Madison Orobono, the senior out of Pennsylvania. You hear a lot about the offensive players that stick around, but she's a senior who's been playing since day one on that defense and really a big part of the leadership.
Yeah, the Tar Heels in that 2019 season rebuilt the back line with some young talent. We've already mentioned Romeo Ricardo, Madison Orobono as well. They have been fixtures back there for the last several years.
See if Virginia can take an opportunity here with the player advantage. Shot, save. Taylor able to stop that one with her feet. Can Carolina clear it though with under a minute to go?
What a high IQ play by the veteran Meredith Shoulder. She dribbled it out of the circle herself, killed off about half the remaining time in the quarter, and then was able to send it out of bounds off of Virginia to earn the Tar Heel side in. And now Erin Matson can work away the waning seconds of this first period and limit Virginia's offensive opportunities even deep in their attack 25.
Couple of seniors recognizing where they're at in the game and what they need to do to help their team. You'll have some time left over when you get to the second, but not much, as Carolina does a great job here of killing this penalty to end this first quarter. But Matt, the story is the 2 goals they were able to score.
Quick start by North Carolina. They withstood Virginia's early chance on the penalty corner, and the Tar Heels in front by a pair.
Couple of penalty corners for Carolina and a penalty stroke give them a 2-0 lead here in Chapel Hill.
Erin Matson draws the penalty stroke for the Tar Heels in the first quarter. Nothing fancy, just sneaks it past Virginia's Yet Trimborn to double the early Carolina advantage. 2-0 Tar Heels on to the second. Erin got that head bandaged up, by the way. But the NCAA active career goal leaders, Kyle, take a look at this. Matson up to 127, approaching a 50-goal advantage over Northwestern's Benta Bockers. But I tell you what, Benta Bockers has what Erin Matson wants back, and that's the title of reigning national champion.
Won it her first 3 years, not last year though, but right now looking like they are primed to make a deep run into the postseason. Perfect 12-0 on the year, looking to make it 13 with a 2-0 lead here at home at Karen Shelton Stadium. Alongside Matt Krause, I'm Kyle Straub. Hope you're enjoying your Friday evening as Virginia, not off to a good start here in the second, gives it right to North Carolina.
And it's a difference from the first quarter when Virginia was the aggressor for the first couple of minutes, got a really quality look off the penalty corner. Abigail Taylor made a critical save, and then the rest of the quarter dominated by North Carolina.
It's got to be tough for a team coming on the road looking to beat North Carolina to have that little bit of energy in the beginning, only to have that save made by Taylor, and then you get slapped in the mouth with a couple of goals. Now you got to regroup and find a way to get some offense going.
Well, Kyle, you gave the number of North Carolina's first half scoring advantage this year. 32-5 now after those 2 goals. That's been their style of play all season long.
Good defense able to take it away on the top of the screen. Peyton Worth working up the far sideline. '80th all-time meeting between North Carolina and Virginia. Tar Heels with the slight advantage, 61-18 all-time. Have had some really close matchups lately, though, Matt, going to overtime more times than not, it seems like.
Yeah, 10 straight wins in the series, as you saw a moment ago for North Carolina. It's 17 straight in the regular season, but even in that span, Carolina's needed overtime to win 6 times. So it's not like, again, as we said, it's not like Virginia's getting blown out, but just unable to get over the hump, and the Cavaliers draw a penalty corner here.
Yeah, just another one of those kind of things that line up and show you the evidence of Virginia just needs to get that last step of learning to win those close games. It's been over the years against North Carolina. It's also just been in general here the last couple of seasons in those 1-goal games. But opportunity to get themselves back into this one here with an early penalty corner in the second. '82 penalty corners on the year coming into this for Virginia.
And this is how they wore down Liberty on Tuesday. An 11-1 advantage in corners drawn, converted on 2 of them, won the game 2-1.
Here's Gusjens. Shot deflected, and Virginia gets a goal.
Cavaliers doing what they've done best this week, capitalizing on the penalty corner. Nice insert from Mendez Trendler. And even though Gusjens' shot was headed wide, it's the team's goal leader, Laura Jansen, that's there along the far post. And that's not even the far post, it's a little bit beyond it.
How
right?
about the hand-eye coordination to come diving in and get a stick on that one, and not just redirect it, but redirect it on frame. 9th goal of the season for Jansen, and all of a sudden, different feel because you get that early goal here in the second.
Yeah, any game where there's a 2-0 score, the 3rd goal is so critical. If the team that's ahead scores the 3rd goal, 3-0 starts to feel like way too big a mountain to climb. But if you're down 2-0, you get a relatively quick goal to make it 2-1, completely changes the complexion of the game. That is massive for Virginia.
Just the 6th first half goal given up by this Carolina defense. 14th on the season. Good pressure here from Virginia, pinning Carolina deep in their own territory. Will try near side. That touch gets away from Sessa. Cavaliers looking for the counter. Sessa, the freshman out of Pennsylvania. 7 goals, 4 assists on the season. Helped to set up one of those penalty corners, actually the one that Carolina scored on in the first quarter.
Brilliant stick work to dribble her way inside the circle, ultimately draw the call. And she's done a great job as Carolina's inserter on corners this season.
Yeah, you mentioned in the open, Carolina had gone undefeated in 18 and 19, looking for their 3rd during Aaron's Matson tenure. But when we talked with Coach Shelton, we'd brought up back in 18 when she was a freshman, the flow of the team, the way they had a lot of freshmen, but a lot of veterans, all of them out there on the field, being able to complement each other. A lot of the way this team feels too.
That's certainly right, and we touched on it with Matson utilizing the extra year of eligibility. Same with Meredith Shoulder, playing in her 6th season in the program. So there's both veteran leadership, but also young, talented players, the 3 freshmen that start in that group of Sessa and Heck and Sietske Bruning, who we saw score for the Tar Heels for their first goal of the game. And so you can see that there's a foundation set for continued success into the future. When you put it all together, you get a special combination.
Shoulder looking for a pass into the attacking 3rd. Heck was the intended target. Whistle will go against her. Virginia will take possession. Michelle Matson at the helm of the Virginia field hockey program in her 17th season now. 34th overall as a head coach.
She's leading the team from the bench, but you look behind her, you see Step Up. Yes, that stuffed horse has a name, and it's been going around with the Virginia program essentially everywhere for the past 15 years. On planes, on buses, obviously right there on the bench.
You know, I have heard of from team to team, kind of rallying around whatever it may be. Pick whatever inanimate object. I have not heard of a team carrying one around for 15 years, though.
See, this raises questions for me. Is there a ceremony where, you know, an upperclassman hands off possession of Step Up to perhaps the next team captain? I don't know.
Here come the Tar Heels. Heck with a touch, trying to center it for Matson. It is going to go to Virginia, though. Good effort from the freshman to keep that one alive.
There was a play last week where Heck sprawled out along the sideline to keep a ball in play. That's something that's really impressed me just early on in her North Carolina career. It's her ability to make those hustle plays that don't get registered anywhere in a box score.
It was that play as well as that one just hit the post and stayed in. Taylor was playing it thinking it was going to go out of bounds. Opportunity here for Virginia. Heck had another one, though, that led to a penalty corner for Carolina in which they scored on. Gotta love that from a freshman that goes out there and gives it all.
That ball hitting the post, Kyle, is essentially the worst case scenario in that circumstance because you have to touch the ball inside the circle for it to be a good goal. So any ball that gets sent in from outside the circle, it can go in, you know, the back of the cage, and it's not a goal. It's essentially just out of bounds at that point. Or if it misses wide, it's out of bounds. But if it hits that post and ricochets back in, it's a fair ball for anyone's taking. Kind of fluky. You'd have to try to do that.
I don't know if you could do it when you're trying. Virginia looking for the equalizer. They got one off a penalty corner in the first couple of minutes here of this second quarter. Carolina, though, with the 2-1 lead. Balanced attack for both of these offenses, both with double-digit goal scorers on the season. 12 for the Tar Heels, 10 for Virginia. It's always nice to have those couple of go-to goal scorers, but to be able to get some scoring from outside of your superstars, quote-unquote, it's the mark of a good team.
Exactly. When you look at Virginia's stats, you glance through there and you say, who are this team's leaders? But as you said, Kyle, that may be a sign of positivity more so than a problem that they don't have one single dominant player that's scoring at, you know, the bulk of the goals.
Heck with a turnaround shot, can't get that one on frame. Goes Slinkert, the sophomore, entry pass, and it is going to go to Virginia. Last touch by Matson.
North Carolina, while they've held a lot of possession in this second quarter, very few quality looks, and that's something that Karen Shelton, in this process of saying that her team is a work in progress, has talked about the concept of circle outcomes. And that's every time you get the ball in the circle, you want either a goal, a shot on goal, or a penalty corner. And the team target is 50% of circle outcomes in any given game. And it certainly feels like in this second quarter, that number is well below 50% for the Tar Heels.
I think you can credit Virginia. They've done a good job in their defensive third of really making it tough for Carolina to find some open passing lanes. Also, don't recall yet in this quarter where Virginia has gotten caught by that quick counterattack that North Carolina has. Megan Hengerer passes that one ahead into the attacking third. Go the Cavaliers. Here's Jansen, the goal scorer for Virginia. Entry pass. Ricardo able to take possession up towards midfield. Thomasay has it knocked away though.
And even though Carolina doesn't get to build an offensive opportunity out of that sequence, well,
Matson with the takeaway. Carolina with numbers forward. Matson goes to Heck to the left. Little too much pace on that one though, and it'll go out of bounds.
I was just about to say, even though nothing was happening offensively, and promptly Aaron Matson makes something happen offensively, shows you what we know. But it's a circumstance where you saw the quick passes after the intercept from Romé Ricardo, and instead of just knocking the shot away and giving Virginia another opportunity, Carolina forces the ball all the way out toward midfield, limits Virginia to just that one look on Cage that ultimately was blocked in that last offensive sequence.
2 of those 311 career points that you just saw Aaron Matson has scored in her career came today. Penalty stroke, the second goal of the game for the Tar Heels. Bruning, Siska Bruning with the first off the penalty corner. They both came in the first quarter. Virginia with an early goal here in the second. That's been it though. It has been very evenly matched here in this second quarter. I feel like since that Virginia goal, neither team has gotten much of an offensive look. There's an opportunity for Virginia though. Kina near side. Henger. Jansen has it taken away. Good defense there by North Carolina. That was the sophomore Ricardo, and here comes the attack. Matson out in front, Sessa. Matson trying to get around the keeper, and a nice job by Trimborn. He'll stay with Carolina though. Sessa with a turnaround shot. Matson tried to deflect it. Think it went off of a defender though. It was Lindsay Dickinson, the grad transfer, that got in the way. Started her career off at UConn. Under 3 to go here in the first half. Carolina and Virginia, a top 10 matchup. Final conference game of the year for Virginia. Carolina just with Duke on the schedule. It'll be their final game of the year. Final home game for the Tar Heels against St. Joseph's. That'll be on Sunday. And crazy to think about, Matt, but this is just the second time this year where Carolina has had back-to-back home games. The only other time, September 2nd and 4th against Princeton and Penn. That was way back at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, just 6 home games for the Tar Heels this season. Karen Shelton has said, sometimes it's a little tough to get home games just based upon where the University of North Carolina is physically in the field hockey landscape. A little bit away from the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast hotbed, so it's tough to get teams to come down and play, especially when they're facing long odds to earn a win when they get here. But the opportunities have arisen for some teams to come visit, such as St. Joseph's, not afraid of the challenge coming in on Sunday.
Just like we saw at the end of the first quarter, Madison Orobono, the defender for the Tar Heels, whistled for a card, so a player advantage here for Virginia. Tar Heels did a good job in that first, Matt, of gaining possession and stalling out the clock, but Virginia did score while they had that player up when they got the penalty corner, which is exactly what they're able to do right here.
Stick obstruction call, so Virginia with an opportunity with Orobono. They're sitting due to the green card. Virginia now with a chance to tie the game.
Coming into this game, Carolina with just 13 green cards against them. Mendez Trendler, the freshman out of Towson, Maryland, will insert this one for Virginia. Looking for the equalizer. Come near side, looked like they were trying to go back to her. The Carolina defense read it well.
Sietske Bruning, a terrific job to block that initial attempt. So Bruning getting involved offensively on the first penalty corner score for Carolina earlier today. Now gets involved in the defensive side as well.
Here come the Tar Heels getting down into the attacking third. It's Sessa weaving through the Virginia defenders. Whistle going to come in from behind. That'll be a card. I think that's going to go against Virginia. Some more good work with the stick from the freshman Sessa.
Green card on Lauren Kenna, Virginia freshman, so it'll be at even strength here. Let's see. Yeah, impeding the progress, just stuck that stick out. Tripped her up. They played the advantage, let Sessa play on. A good call.
Even strength for the two with a card on each side. Stay with the Tar Heels. Here's Matson around the keeper. Matson with her second goal of the game. A wizard with the ball at the bottom of her stick. 3-1 Carolina lead.
More brilliant stick work from Erin Matson. Check this out. Ball popped free. Matson weaves around the sprawled out Trimborn to get the shot off. 1-2 pass to herself, fired into the back of the cage.
They're gonna take another look at this one, but as it stands right now, her 19th of her season. For Erin Matson, and the lead back to 2 for the Tar Heels. Three goals allowed match the season high in goals allowed for Virginia. 2 of their 3 losses, 2-3 against Penn State to open the year, and 2-3 to then #1 Northwestern.
2 really good Big Ten teams.
Carolina looks like they're going to be content to keep possession and run this clock out. Don't forget, they're going to have an advantage when we come back after halftime. Carolina will take the lead into halftime. Erin Matson with a goal in the first. Erin Matson with a goal here in the second as well. The Tar Heels with a 2-goal lead as they go into the halftime here at Chapel Hill. Top 10 matchup here as we wind down the regular season. North Carolina, the #1 overall team in the country, with a 3-1 lead, over Virginia, as the Tar Heels look to try and stay undefeated on the season. Take a look at how we got to where we are.
Well, after North Carolina was able to withstand Virginia's first penalty corner opportunity of the game, the Tar Heels capitalize on their first goal via the penalty corner. Sietske Bruning with that goal, and then Aaron Matson draws a penalty stroke call, converts with ease. Virginia would pull one back early in the second. Laura Jansen, beautiful hand-eye coordination, worth another look here to see her deflect that one in. Virginia gets to within a goal, but then it's Aaron Matson, again, unassisted, waning seconds of the first half, pushes the Carolina lead back out to 2.
Here's what's at stake. If North Carolina wins today, they lock up that #1 overall seed in the upcoming ACC tournament. If Virginia wins today, though, Matt, they keep their hopes alive of being able to move from 3 up to 1.
Yeah, they would still need some help in the form of Wake Forest losses and at a minimum a North Carolina loss against Duke next week. So the Tar Heels hoping to take care of business. Virginia knows they've got a long way to go to earn that #1 seed, but any conversation begins with winning here today, and that means scoring at least 3 goals in this second half.
As Matt said, Virginia, the outside chance to get to that #1 seed, need a win today. The tough thing for them, though, this is their last conference game. They've got to sit and watch after that if they can do it. North Carolina, if they don't win today, has another opportunity. That would be over in Durham against Duke to end the season. Alongside Matt Krause, I'm Kyle Straub as we get underway here in Chapel Hill for the second half. Remember, Carolina has that 1-player advantage here. It'll be about 20 seconds of this third quarter. Card came in while Virginia had the player advantage. A few minutes later, a few seconds later, actually, Aaron Matson with the third goal of the game for the Tar Heels. Nice centering pass from her here to the freshman Heck. Plays it a little bit further along. Bruning has it knocked off the stick, but wins it back. Sessa loses it to Davidson. Seen Virginia come out strong in the first quarter and the second quarter. Those first 3 or 4 minutes, they've been the aggressor.
And it enabled them to take the first penalty corner opportunity in that first quarter.
And very easily could have been the first goal. A really nice save made by the freshman Taylor.
Yeah, it's funny how history repeats itself, because we talked about it right after the initial save by Taylor, that it was similar to a big save that she made in the ACC championship game last year, a defensive battle that Carolina won 1-0.
Turnover in the midfield. Carolina looking for the quick counter. Smolinars has it taken off the stick. Top part of the screen, Carolina attacking. Peyton Worth tried to redirect that one. It'll stay with the Tar Heels. Just noticed, Matt, Abigail Taylor still in cage for North Carolina. All season long, the Tar Heels have split goalkeepers. As you get towards the end of the year, though, maybe Karen Shelton tightening things up, and Taylor was the starting keeper last year down the stretch and into the postseason.
Yeah, she started every game last year for Carolina, so this is the first time all season that the goalkeeper for the Tar Heels who began the game also begins the second half.
Shoulder trying to keep that one in the attacking third for Carolina. Good job by the Cavaliers to win possession, though. Mentioned Virginia with no more conference games left. They're not done for the year, though. They've got 2 more games on the schedule. They'll finish up their home slate against Kent State on the 23rd, and then at Maryland, #2 in the country, to finish off the regular season, just to, keep in line with that #1 ranked strength of schedule.
Yeah, what a week for Virginia. Seeing North Carolina and Maryland 1 and 2 in the country, all in the span of 5 or so days.
feel like when you play in the ACC, both of these programs know that on a game-to-game basis, you're playing a potential Final Four team. But to then go out of conference and have games where they played Northwestern, they were #1 at the time. Maryland, currently #2. For North Carolina, going on the road, playing Iowa, Michigan, getting UConn on the schedule as well. These teams don't shy away from out-of-conference tests, let alone the in-conference that they've got to deal with.
Well, what it does, Kyle, is it allows you a bit of a safety net in ACC play. Because in Virginia's case, barring a comeback here, they'll complete their league slate 3-3, a 500 mark in the conference, and yet still would be in the conversation for first round and second round hosting duties. They would, I think, need to beat Maryland in order to earn that right, but still, they are among the nation's elite even at 500 in the conference.
Sessa through some traffic, finally poked away by Virginia. Worth with a swing, and this is going to be Virginia possession. Just barely got a piece of that, did Worth, as the whistle came in from the ref. It's really remarkable when you look at the overall record for some of the teams in the ACC that end up being in the top 25, yet they're about a 500 team. Part of it is the in-conference teams, but also the way they challenge themselves out of conference. Carolina, the aggressor here in the early moments of the third, doing a good job keeping the ball on the Virginia half of the field. Errant pass there from Ricardo. Shoulder will track it down though. Comeback whistle against the Tar Heels as Jansen took it away. The goal scorer for Virginia in the first half. Tar Heels, the #1 scoring offense in the country. 4.42 goals per game coming into this one.
So a little bit below that season average at this juncture. Plenty of game left, though. And if you're Virginia trying to battle back in this one, it is basically a requirement that the next goal in this game is scored by the team in orange.
Yeah, fully agree with that one. It felt like when they got the first goal to cut it to 2-1, really settled in, had a nice flow back and forth, felt like an even match before Aaron Matson able to steal a goal and put that advantage back to 2 just before we got to halftime. And if you go back to even in the first quarter, Matt, didn't feel like North Carolina really dominated the pace of play. It was when they had penalty corner and a penalty stroke that they were able to get the first 2 goals.
Yeah, it was capitalizing on opportunities on what you could equate to the field hockey version of special teams. You know, when the clock stops, and you've got that opportunity to score based on the infraction of your opponent. North Carolina taking full advantage. And you know you're a dangerous team if you've got the ability to both score in the run of play. So we saw from North Carolina last week against Syracuse and so often throughout this season, but also be so effective on the penalty corner and utilizing that penalty stroke from the first half.
They've done it all 3 ways that they can. A shot for Virginia. McDonough. Saved by Taylor. Keena trying to re-enter. She will be whistled, and it goes to the Tar Heels. Quick restart. Sessa with good hustle. Kept that from going out of bounds. Top of the screen. Good pass up the far sideline to Matson. Matson to Slinker. Tried to give and go a little behind her, and Virginia now coming back the other way. Here come the Cavaliers on the counterattack. Laura Jansen, the senior. She's going to go down, lose the stick, and a whistle comes in. A restart for Virginia. Nope, they're going to give it to Carolina.
Tumbling down hard, sprawling out, and the foul is still called against her.
Field, the sophomore, coming up from the back line to help facilitate the offense. Opportunity for Virginia just goes wide. Again, Jansen with the look.
And that's great defense from North Carolina to force that shot from Virginia and also not deflect it on the way out of bounds. Gave possession to the Tar Heels coming out from 16.
Lindsay Dickinson goes down. Ball intended for Taryn Kachuk. Name sounds familiar. It's because her father and her brother played in the NHL. Actually looked at the roster sheet for Virginia and thought, it's got to be Kachuk. That's a tough name if it's not Kachuk. And sure enough, you look a little bit further in and you find the family history for her.
She just plays her hockey on an artificial surface with the ball, no ice and puck.
Could argue that the ice that they play in on the NHL level is artificial. That's all man-made. It's not natural pond hockey ice out there.
You mean to tell me that the ice at the Tampa Bay Lightning is artificial in Florida?
You didn't know that that was not naturally occurring in Florida?
I did not.
Opportunity here for the Cavaliers as they earn themselves a penalty. Convert on this penalty corner, get themselves right back into things with some momentum to finish off this third and go into the fourth.
A very important spot in this game for Virginia. See Kato Gustjens there, middle of your screen, 7 in orange. She took the shot that Jansen deflected in.
Akabuchi will insert this for the Cavaliers. 2 assists for her on the season. Top of the circle, Dickinson. Play it near side. Cano with a shot, pushed aside by Taylor. Rebound to Jansen, and it will stay with Virginia. They're going to get themselves another penalty corner.
Even though Virginia draws another corner out of this, yet again, Abigail Taylor with a critical stop. Virginia tries to play it wide. You see the connection there. And tried to sneak it between the legs of Taylor. Able to get a pad blocker on it, though.
Same setup with Akabuchi inserting for the Cavaliers again. Dickinson going to play it herself. Shot off of one of her own players in the circle. And out of bounds. Referee immediately calling for the side. You could see how quickly Caroline Nemec went down, but she was saying it didn't hit me in the head, which initially I thought the same. Take another look.
Yeah, it looked like it bounced up in that area. I don't know what it struck if it didn't hit Nemec in the head.
Freshman for the Cavaliers.
One of the top 10 recruits in the country. Just like Ashley Sessa and Riley Heck, so a lot of young talent on this field here today.
Rematch of ACC tournament championship last year between these two, a game in which Carolina came out on top 2-1 in an overtime victory. 5th straight ACC title in the tournament for the Tar Heels. 24th overall for Karen Shelton. Kelly Smith, the sophomore, has possession for the Tar Heels here. Nice composure. Had a couple of Virginia attackers around her, able to keep possession until it's played out. And North Carolina will be able to get this one out, get a little breathing room after a couple of penalty corners there from the Cavaliers. Virginia showing some good pressure here. Not something we saw in the beginning of the game, Matt, when North Carolina has the ball deep in their own zone. Cavaliers trying to force that turnover like they do here.
Yeah, Carolina trying to go to the aerial to get it out of trouble down there.
Off the foot of a Cavalier, so a restart here for North Carolina.
So now the next step, if you're Virginia, is take some of these turnovers that you're forcing inside of your attack 25 and turn it into sustained buildup.
Again, able to force the turnover. Quick play into the circle. Ricardo there for the Tar Heel defense, though. It's been the one thing that's been missing for Virginia. I feel like you've got to be happy if you're a Cavalier fan or a coach with the way things have gone here in this third, outside of just being able to finish that final attack.
Virginia's definitely held their own here today, but here come the Tar Heels on the counter where they've been so dangerous. Keep an eye on Matson streaking forward.
Worth tried to center it too, or had it blocked by Goose Jens. Finds it in the circle now, and North Carolina not able to keep possession. A little under 2 minutes remaining here in the third quarter. We've seen 2 goals in the first, 2 goals in the second. 3-1 Tar Heel lead. Shoulder can't keep that one on the stick. Here's Matson, Sessa ahead of her. Matson to Hex, Sessa with the shot. Cleared away by Goose Jens.
Defended well by Trimborn and Virginia. Tar Heels trying to strike late in a quarter yet again, just as they did in the second quarter.
Worth to the corner. Virginia having some trouble clearing this one out. Ball in the circle, whistle comes in. It'll be against the Tar Heels, though. Virginia possession.
Cavaliers will have to work with some hustle here. The aerial bounced into the stands. There is no net over there. Looks to be that everyone's okay, though. Do you get to keep the ball like in baseball? I don't know.
I'm keeping it. If not, I'm trading it for some signed memorabilia, right?
Right.
Tar Heels just looking to keep possession. They will run out the clock here in the third quarter. And it remains the same score we had when we started it. 1 quarter to decide. If North Carolina holds on for the win, they're the #1 seed in the ACC tournament. Virginia hoping to give the Tar Heels their first loss, though. 15 minutes will decide it when we come back. Back here in Chapel Hill alongside Matt Krause, I'm Kyle Straub. 1 quarter to go. North Carolina with a 3-1 lead. Currently sitting in first place in the ACC at 4-0. You see Virginia just 1 or 2 spots behind them there. Couple of weeks left. Still some movement that can happen. All depends on this one, though.
Yeah, North Carolina, if they complete the victory here today, would move to 5-0. And so they would clinch the #1 seed in the upcoming ACC tournament. They already have the head-to-head tiebreak over Wake Forest, the one in Wake Forest loss column against the Tar Heels. So North Carolina finding itself 15 minutes away from that #1 seed.
The thing I want to point out, you see every single team there has got a number next to them, not just the 1 through 7, but all of them with a 25 or lower. They're all ranked. So yeah, you want to be the 1 seed, but does it really matter that much when it comes down to it?
You look at Duke, who's the #25 team in the country, winless in the ACC. Just because the ACC tournament is on a rotation, they get the benefit of home field advantage for the ACC tournament. So Anytime you're sleeping in your own bed, in your own locker room, then that's a benefit for them.
Carolina will be looking for their 25th ACC tournament title in program history, as they are in search of their 10th NCAA title. Currently sitting at 9, which is tied with ODU for the most ever. Been quite a run here recently, really, since she has stepped on campus for the Tar Heels. First 3 years in a Tar Heel uniform, 3 national championships.
Perfect 4 for 4 on ACC tournament titles, trying to go 5 for 5 in that department.
You know, when we talked with Karen Shelton, it was before that Syracuse game, and we asked her to talk about Erin, knowing that most likely she was going to set the all-time record for ACC points in that game. And the thing that stood out to me was when she said, you know, I'm sure Erin knows about where she is with these records, but she doesn't really care. It's the trophy at the end of the year, the national championship, that she's playing for.
Yeah, she's not playing for the individual record. It'll be a nice thing to look back on years down the road, but for now, the focus is on winning a 4th national championship in her career and potentially completing an undefeated season, which we mentioned North Carolina is tied with Old Dominion for the most national championships all time. An undefeated season, if the Tar Heels can pull it off this year, it would break the tie with Old Dominion for the most undefeated seasons in the history of the sport. Both the Tar Heels and Monarchs have had 4 of their 9 national championships each come via the undefeated year. So Carolina in search of that 5th undefeated season this year.
Heck plays it near side as Carolina builds slowly through the midfield. Molinar's ahead for Sessa. Freshman to freshman trying to get it to Heck. Whistle from behind. Heck going to be the one that gets the foul, and it'll go back to the Cavaliers. Wouldn't be surprised to see North Carolina maybe a little less aggressive here in this 4th quarter, Matt. Keeping possession, making the smarter pass since you have the 2-goal lead.
You would think so, and also, you know, you want to take things one game at a time, but looking ahead, another game for the Tar Heels in just 2 days.
Sessa tangled up there with Boderman. Sophomore went down to the turf. Whistle goes against North Carolina. Heck with a centering pass. Worth.
So here's an opportunity for Virginia in their attacking half of the field. Can they make those last couple of passes to get a good look in the circle? That's been a struggle in the second half, even though they've had multiple possessions inside their attacking half and attack 25.
Bruning, the goal scorer, the first goal scorer today for the Tar Heels, down there helping out on defense. Ricardo as well for Carolina, and they will earn the whistle and possession. I think if you chat with Karen Shelton, if the score holds up afterwards and Carolina wins this one, she's going to be really happy with the way the Carolina defense played in that attacking third, especially in the circle, just denying the opportunities for Virginia for the most part.
Yeah, Virginia has not had a lot of quality looks, especially in the run of play. And they've defended without giving up a ton of penalty corners, too. Virginia on pace to out-corner the Tar Heels in this game, but still, it's not a large number. It's currently sitting at 4.
Matson putting pressure on the back line. Forces Goose Jens back to the top of the screen. Nice job here by Matson, just refusing to let Virginia even try the bottom part of the screen here. Mendez Rendler Kangaroo to the top of the screen as Virginia attacks. Freshman Orsi getting involved.
Madison Orsi out of the WC Eagles Club in Pennsylvania, a club that produces so many Tar Heel players.
Virginia into the circle. They're going to get a corner here. Finally able to break through that barrier that was set up by Carolina at the circle. And this is where Virginia has been at their most dangerous offensively.
Drew the foot call inside the circle. And so Virginia, who scored their last 3 goals on penalty corners, dating back to their 2-1 win over Liberty on Tuesday, now has the opportunity to try and cut their deficit in half.
Mendez Trendler will insert this. You saw the disparity there, 6-2 in penalty corners in the game. Each team has been able to convert off of them. To the top of the circle, straight away, shot deflected and will go over the crossbar. That was Gushchins with the shot for the Cavaliers.
So the Carolina defense stands tall on the penalty corner, and now with the game clock under 9 minutes, Tar Heels will be content to be deliberate here.
Thomasy with some good stick work through the midfield. Looks for Sessa. Back to Thomasy. Here's Matson in the circle. Sessa, shot, save. Carolina will keep possession. Some great touches there from the Tar Heels.
Brilliant job by Matson to get it to Ashley Sessa. Got a really, really good look on Cage. Ultimately, though, Yet Trimborn with a nice kick save.
Trimborn, the freshman keeper out of the Netherlands for Virginia. Now, neither of these teams with a ton of foreign-born players in a sport that is so international. You know, we talked with Coach Shelton about it a little bit, and she told us flat out, listen, it takes a full scholarship most of the time to get one of the foreign players over. So as far as Carolina looks at it, if they're going to do that, they want to make sure they're getting the best player they possibly can. And a lot of times she said it comes down to the American-born player is the better player, so why give up the full scholarship?
And it's not just that, it's the fact that she wants the University of North Carolina to be the premier destination for top American field hockey recruits, and we've seen that through the years with the likes of an Aaron Matson or an Ashley Sessa or a Riley Heck.
Virginia with a couple of more foreign-born players, not very many themselves, though, for Michelle Matson.
And a very similar story for Virginia. Some of the best American recruits in recent years choosing to earn an absolutely prestigious education from the University of Virginia and also have the opportunity to play in the Atlantic Coast Conference. We told you Madison Orsi is a high school All-American, and Caroline Nemec, a top 10 recruit in the class of 2022. So some of the best players in the country wearing that blue and orange for the Cavaliers.
Last touch by Virginia. It'll stay with North Carolina. Quickly played in. Matson with pressure. Smolinars. Back to Matson. Shot from her. Gushchins, the defender, got a stick on it. The whistle for this one to come back and restart. Getting to that point now, 6 minutes to go in the game. Virginia going to have to start taking some risks to get some opportunities offensively.
Playing a little bit more direct, trying to find ways to get up the field quickly. See, they're still working on the slow build here, but the high pressure from North Carolina, a hallmark of this Tar Heel program. The field quickly. see, what's this, 5, 6 passes, and just now over the center line. They take that risk, Kyle, ultimately leads to a turnover because the pass was a bit too heavy for the intended target, and instead Romeo Ricardo takes it back for the Tar Heels.
Getting the early lead like North Carolina has done so often this season will force teams into those situations as the Tar Heels come on the counterattack. Slinkert with a pass to Matson, looking to give it back to Slinkert. Ball loose, bouncing around, and cleared by Virginia. Hengerer with it at the stick. Plays it up the near sideline. Back to Carolina it goes. Shoulder got just enough of that pass from Hengerer to slow the attack up momentarily for Virginia. That lets North Carolina get back on defense. Field working on the near side. Looked like players thought that ball went out of bounds, waiting for a whistle. The only one who kept playing, got possession of it, that was Romeo Ricardo for the Tar Heels.
Veteran move by veteran backline player for North Carolina.
With the field slanted towards the near side, smartly Carolina flips it to the top of the screen and gets out towards midfield. Worth looking to keep possession, plays it back.
I've been really impressed by the development of Sietske Bruning, who you see playing it wide there for the Tar Heels. Had the goal today, had a goal last week, has gotten involved defensively on the penalty corner unit. And Kyle, we had that discussion about international players. Bruning was a late add to this roster. Tar Heels were expecting a recruit from England to come in. She opted not to come stateside, and that left Karen Shelton in need of a player. They made contact with Bruning, opted to sign her, and she has started every single game as a freshman.
Possession stays with Carolina as Matson tried to play that one in. Carolina has done a fantastic job of keeping possession since that 6-minute mark where we talked about Virginia trying to take some more risks to get some opportunities offensively. The Tar Heels have not relinquished possession. It's 3 minutes now and counting. Karen Shelton wanted to see teams closed out, wanted to see her team do better in the second half and especially in the fourth quarter. They have today. Here's a shot from Heck. And another save as Trimble kicks it aside.
And to be able to hold possession for this long, you need really precise passes like this one from Erin Matson. A beauty into the circle, trying to draw Trimborn a little off that near post. Ultimately, Trimborn gets there and able to kick it away, but the Tar Heels keep the possession and able to use even more time.
Fan of either of these teams, remember you got 2 more opportunities to check them out. One at home, one on the road. They'll actually both be home for their next game. Virginia will take on Kent State. North Carolina taking on St. Joseph's. Then on the road for Carolina, it's Duke. Maryland for Virginia. As the Tar Heels will get a corner here thanks to Erin Matson.
Stick obstruction call will send the Tar Heels back to their penalty corner unit. And St. Joseph's, one of the best teams in the country that's not a member of the ACC or the Big Ten. 9th ranked in the nation out of the Atlantic 10 Conference, having another really exciting year this year. They're 11-3 on the campaign. Their losses have come by a single goal to Duke, a single goal to Penn State, and a single goal to Virginia.
Talked about how tough Virginia's schedule is. Just a couple of teams not ranked that are on there. Everybody else ranked. Same for North Carolina. Just 3 teams, Penn, Cal, and Stanford, currently not ranked. By the way, 2 of them, like for Virginia, have been ranked at some point this season. Here's Worth to insert for the Tar Heels. 3rd penalty corner of the game. 1 for 2 so far for Carolina. Ricardo with a shot. Defender got a piece of it, and a whistle finally coming in from behind. North Carolina with another penalty corner. Wasn't played very well by the Tar Heels. It looked, Matt, like they were trying to set up Bruning, who scored a goal in the first off the penalty corner.
That's what it looked like, but she didn't get a clean look on it. But a good job by Carolina, even in that circumstance, to keep the play alive, earn the foot call, and ultimately another penalty corner.
Worth again on the insert. Or Bono to Matson.
Whole lot of moving parts on that corner. Saw the fake shot from Romeo Ricardo.
Another corner for the Tar Heels. Katie Dixon had it at her stick as it hit the defender's foot.
Madison Orsi with a prolonged discussion with the umpire. Let's see who was right. Looked like it hit the foot of Orsi as it was bouncing around there. Here's another angle at it. Virginia opting not to use their team requested referral, so corner will stand.
Different part of the game, different time of the game, maybe they use it, but 1:07 on the clock here. Matson with the shot, looking for a hat trick. It'll be another penalty corner. It was 6-2 penalty corners in favor of Virginia in this game. It's now 6-6.
6-6.
Near side shot almost deflected in. There were a couple of Tar Heels down there.
Yeah, that was Peyton Worth's. Peyton Worth's for the taking. Fake shot. Bruning ultimately takes the rip, and it was Worth there on the near post that in theory was trying to collect that and punch it home.
Final 30 seconds of this one as Carolina will wrap up their 5th ACC win, 13th overall on the season. And Matt, they will be the #1 seed come the ACC tournament. What are your takeaways from this latest Carolina victory?
Well, even with the success the last couple of years, Tar Heels have not been the #1 seed since 2019. So this is a big benefit for them to only have to win 2 games to hoist the ACC championship trophy, and another really solid performance today, capitalizing on the offensive penalty corner. Also, a really, really good defensive effort from the North Carolina Tar Heels. They continue to roll along toward the postseason.
Carolina clinches a regular season ACC championship. They will be the #1 seed come the ACC tournament. Today, though, it was Siska Bruning getting Carolina on the board in the first. The rest was taken care of by the ACC leader in points, Erin Matson. She had a couple of them. Some dancing beforehand, Karen Shelton can do some more dancing as the Tar Heels stay undefeated on the season, now 13-0 with a 3-1 victory over Virginia. For Matt Krause, I'm Kyle Straub saying so long from Chapel Hill. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.